Heidi ho, neighbors. Sorry about the beep. Apparently my headphones decided to go on the fritz. So, this is Sandbox. Let's go back to, come on. Oh, let's. There we go. Let's go back to the Cape. Still at Omelek from doing stuff for PAP. US Cape Canaveral. Alright. So what I figured to do in this episode was spoke briefly with Blowfish time before, about the maximum you can do with the straight 8 Strong master race. Wonder why clicking is so messed up. Anyway, so I'm going to try to design the maximum you can do keeping to 8-foot tanks. And let's see if I have anything reasonable in here I can steal from. No, so let's copy a file over. I think this will be correct, but let's find out. Let's see. Oh, that's not the right folder. That's the right folder. There we are. I think this has what I want. Yes, it does. Only I need to change the config on this. All right. And oh yes, this was my spy satellite. So let's replace this with a whole crap ton of lead ballast. Let's see, 1 sec, because I think I broke a thing. There we are. Okay. Now, put a tank 3 in here, and fill it with lead ballast. How heavy is that? Quite heavy, but we can do better. All right. Hey, Piano Josh. Yeah, well, I mean, like back in February of last year, when I was doing these things, I was streaming at like 6:30 to 7:30, but I eat supper earlier now and don't get home from work until 6:30, 6:45, so it's hard to do that then. All right, so let's be looking here. I think we want to. I don't think it'll recombine, right? I think we have to do it this way. Okay, now we plop these back down. And we want to change this out for an LR105. Does this not have verniers? Huh? What did I do for roll control on this LV? It's confusing. Oh, I attached them to the engine, I think. That's probably why. Okay. And let's remove and refill. All right, what's our burn time? That's too long. So let's shorten this up and put a reasonable config on it. What's the appropriate tech level, would you say? Probably this. Well, we'll do the NA3 because the whole point of this is it's an early launch vehicle. All right, and we don't need a tail, but we do need some verniers. For maximal delta V, we don't want to actually use that whole thing very much, so we're only going to put one on. Start them together. All right. We are at 54 tons. Okay. Now, 3 minutes and 42 seconds? What? That can't be right. I thought I was at like... This is very confusing to me. But... What the heck engine is that? Did I put two on? Oh, I did put two on. I only wanted one. Yeah, look at that delta V change. 2479 versus... Oh, it doesn't actually make that big a difference, so we'll put two on. Because it's at 5 minutes. If it were a shorter burn time, it would probably be worse. That's canted slightly. All right. Hello. All right. Perfect. And we're going to hot stage that. For sure. Okay. Totally the sort of launch vehicle that race into space peeps. Uh-oh. How did we change the root part? Because that looks like we changed the root part somehow. Nope. Alright, it's just not highlighting when I do that. Okay. Right. So this is a fairly tall launch vehicle, I think you could say. Note that... Oops, why does it not have a... Are these tanks empty or something? Yeah, they are. That's weird. Oh, and what... No, not you. You. Okay, that's a fine config for it. Maybe it's supposed to be the S3D. Let's do the S3D. That's fine. All right, and that is an anemic thrust weight ratio. So let's bring this down to 4 minutes. And that's still pretty anemic. Not sure how viable this will actually be. Because the idea of this is that we're going to airlight this core. Yeah, so I guess the core is going to have to be fairly short burning. And Blowfish, yeah, exactly. That's what I would like to do, but um, yeah, you'd use H1s on the boosters and an NA13 on that, and then it looks a lot more like a Minerva or whatever the thing is from Kalima Shadow that uses E1s, with two E1s on a long burning core and single E1 strap-ons. I think it was a Minerva. Um, and yes, Piano Josh, this does look a bit Kerbal, but it also looks a bit Proton, really. We don't need the verniers on these things, do we? Did I get rid of all of them? I think so. Yes. All right. It's almost not worth having that core. What I really want to do is put two engines on it, actually. But it's sort of hard to put two engines on an 8-foot diameter thing. All right. Also, so that's 4 minutes, and 4 minutes is 8 minutes. 11 and a quarter minutes to orbit. So we're going to need something like 9,400 meters per second. Because we'll have to fly this like an EELV or Saturn or something. That said, we are getting 7.6 tons into orbit. Oh, yes, you're totally, actually, yes, it should be, we should core light, we should ground light because we can stretch that out to 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Yep, almost the same delta V. Didn't lose all that much. We get 17 seconds of extra burn time. So I'm actually going to push it up to be 23 seconds because I think we can overburn a little bit. And that gets us back to the same delta V roughly we were before, I think. Just look at the mass on this thing. 362 tons. That said, we are talking about effectively 2 R7s worth of payload. Hey, no, Mr. Bond. Yeah, that thrust weight ratio sucks. All right, let's see what this thing can do interplanetary. That's where it's going to shine more, I think. Yes, so we're pushing 1.8 tons TLI. That's pretty good. .8 tons TLI for 356 tons is really not that bad when you think about it. And that liftoff thrust weight ratio is getting nicer all the time. What did I pick for these S3Ds, I think? Yeah, S3Ds. Yeah, if I were using these, which I probably should if I have an Explorer 5H, and a better sustainer, then we could probably do even better, but we're using the minimums. All right, so we'll do that, and then let's see what I think we'll actually do better going to. What do we actually think we can do going to low Earth orbit? Right now with what we have, so 3 minutes and 4 minutes. So 10 minutes to orbit, of which most of it's done in the first 8 minutes. So it really shouldn't be that bad. So it's probably going to be something like that. So 8.5 tons. So I claim it will be that. So let's see what we get if we only have these stages, in which case it will be quite faster to orbit. So what do we want to do? We want to grab that. Don't crash. Come on, KSP. This is the problem with having symmetry on. It wants to spawn all the things. Man, I hope I didn't actually... Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, it tried to radially attach everything. Okay. Oh, lols. Wrong guidance. Oh, actually, that's probably the right guidance unit for that, but I have to fix it on the lower stage. Okay, so I also have to put some guidance units on here. So that will negatively affect your delta V a little bit because I forgot to fix that on the other one. All right. So, strictly speaking, we will put less tonnage in orbit. Like, I think it's only going to be, yeah. But it'll be a much easier flight to orbit. Yeah, I mean, this is basically nostalgiasm for the Delta II. Straight 8 strong. I mean, it even looks sort of like a Delta II, just with giant boosters instead of casters. Or Gem 90s or whatever they were. Well, the old Deltas had casters, the new one has the gems. Yeah, so I claim that's going to be enough to reach orbit. Let's find out. Oh, especially since I had the fairings wrong. And I bet I had the fairings wrong on the other one, too. All right, let's put some clamps on. You can almost fly this off the level 3 pad, but not quite. All right, let's see how it goes. Blowfish, yeah, that would look slightly better, but I don't think it'll actually make a difference. I mean, it'll give us slightly better thrust vector. It'll give us slightly better torque, but I don't think we'll lack for torque. Yeah, right now they look like solids. All right, well, that was a little bouncy. Yep, that was enough of bounce. Oh, right, because I don't have CMAV's fixes to KJR, so we had a bounce. Let's go to, well, yeah, let's go to 150 by 150, because why not? 6. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Hot staging. Let's go. Oh, heh, heh. That's not correct. That would have been bad. Oh yeah, that's going off the pad pretty fast. It is thunderously loud. But it's a fairly pretty rocket, actually, although Blowfish, I agree with you that having them all on the same level would probably look better. Down pitch. Oh, lulz, I don't have any way to separate those things other than the decouplers, so hopefully they separate okay and we get a nice correlative hexacross. But we will not get a good correlative cross, probably. Okay, less than 30 seconds to booster burnout. Here we go. Something's got to be checking nulls for that speed. Oh, they got all twisty. Yeah, our thrust weight ratio went to crap. Uh, why you no decouple? Oh, because really? Because the stages are screwed. That's why. Oh well. Easy come, easy go. Especially since I kind of need to stop right about there. But it looked like we were going to be about 13 meters per second in the hole. So I guess I under budgeted, despite that liftoff thrust weight ratio. So final number 7.54 tons. Let's fix the staging. And let's put a set motor on. And then move these down to match. Oops, what stage did it get? No, wrong stage. Cost me 3 meters per second to do that. Interesting. Alright, are we level? Who can say? I think we're a little too low. I guess we'll just go up a little so we can tell. No, actually we're a little too high. Interesting, interesting. Now we're too low. Now we're about right. Alright. So that thing should work. Yeah, you're right. I could get away with... Well, the problem is that's 0.4 tons. And that's 0.2. Oh, that's lighter than it used to be. $348 tons. 6 times 4 is 240. Wow, that made a whopping big difference. Oh, turns out these things are heavy, I guess. Yeah, half a ton. That's pretty heavy. Oh, I think I remember a discussion about that. Should that really be half a ton? I think that's over heavy. I also think it may be volume based instead of surface area based. So that's something for Mike to fix, maybe. Is that part really should be surface area. Uh, yeah, so let's fix it with some tanks, which will... This is going to be fixed, I think, but for now we can just do this. Smooth cone. 2.438. Yeah, that's way too light. Uh, yeah, that needs to be fixed. Yeah, now we have much more reasonable delta V. All right, that's about where we were. 8 tons on the nose. The procedural avionics we have now are not balanced, so I basically don't use them. This is Sandbox anyway. I wouldn't be certainly wouldn't be using them Sandbox. But. So we should come out just about right. 240 plus 120 happens to be correct. Yeah, we're good. All right. So this ridiculous contraption. Oh, I took away the retro solids in doing that. Oops. Let's put them back on. Although we may be able to get away with not needing them, but... Right. Okay, so in my opinion, this is about as good as you can do with 8-foot tooling. Given that lift-off thrust-to-weight ratio, probably can get away with stretching this to 5 minutes. And yeah, let's see what that does for us. We're at 90.77. We'll probably need another 30 meters per second, 50 if we have another minute. Yeah, let's try that. We're now at 8.4 tons. All right, that's probably about the practical limit, although with the 3-stage version, we could probably squeeze a tiny bit more payload. Blowfish, yeah, no, you're right. If you unlock the long-burning LR79 and some H1s for boosters, then for sure you can do a little better than this. Although we're already quite tall. Yeah, and of course, like if you stuck a single RL10 on top of this, like you'd have serious. Basically, consider everything that the Soviets have ever done with the R7 variants, this is R7. This is more than R7 class already. It's about R7 class. So you can do almost anything you'd want to do with it, short of like a literal moon landing class mission. Uprated, you could probably get up to about 15 tons. Particularly if you so basically if you what is that? That's so basically an 8-foot tank has to be half again as long as a 10-foot tank for the same volume, give or take. So you could just have replace this thing with 2 RL10s. You'd have to have a really, really long tank if you wanted to put an LR87 LH2 on it, or a J2, or some big Hydrolox engine. Yeah, you probably couldn't reasonably get enough volume to use a Hydrolox engine more than an RL10 on an 8-foot tank. But you could at least use an RL10 or two, although you'd have trouble fitting 2 of them. And that would give you some serious beyond Earth orbit heft. What else could you do? Put a better third stage than that Vega on, like twin Agena engines or something. That would work reasonably instead of the Hydrolox. Yeah, it's sort of tempting to do a straight 8 playthrough. No, Mr. Bond, the point, you could do that, but the point of this is to save on tooling costs, because everything is 8-foot diameter. That's the point of this endeavor. If we're talking about bulging things, then like we might as well go to 10 or 12-foot diameters. But this is all about what can we do sticking to 8-foot tooling. Presuming basically that 8-foot tooling or 2.5 meter tooling or whatever is the first tooling step that you probably go to in a campaign past your original V2 tooling. Unless you do like a 2-meter tooling for the RD103 or the A7 or whatever. Yeah, I mean this is a reasonable thing to do for, and this basically, yeah, because this will see you through with upgrades, like with the H1s, so you can stretch these, and with that long burning core, and then a good sustainer, and then Hydrolox, you probably could get up to about 15 tons in orbit with this, would be my guess. And at that point, then it makes sense that, because 15 tons in orbit, I mean, honestly, 15 tons in orbit is enough to do EOR, LOR. You send up 15 tons of payload, you send up 15 tons of empty stage, and then you send up 2 or 3 propellant loaders. And then you can go to the moon. No, Mr. Bond, you do. You do indeed. It's not free, but you get a discount. Yeah, so I'm happy with this. I'm happy with this, and it's certainly a thing to think about for a campaign, is because that'll get you up to. You probably could do a. You probably could even do a crewed lunar flyby if you did an EOR version of it. If you sent up a stage, and then you filled it up, and then you sent up the capsule, and that's pretty plausible. Yeah, because like I mean, the Soviets were thinking of doing a Soyuz lunar flyby with R7 with Soyuz launch vehicle based ER stuff. So yeah, this would take you up till you need something beyond Saturn 1B class, and then you'd probably go to 15-foot tooling at least, and a hydrolox second stage and stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. It was an interesting thought experiment, and it was sort of fun to make. So I gotta go to bed. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.